Good evening and welcome to SVG TV News for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The government cannot, does not, and will not dictate wages to the private sector. However, there are a number of things that the government has done, is doing, and will do that will have a positive effect on the wages of private sector workers. This was the response given by Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez in Parliament yesterday to a question from opposition MP Fitzgerald Bramble on whether the government will address the issue of wages and salaries for private sector workers. If not, why not? This comes after the government recently indicated its intention to increase salaries for public servants from 2023, which Bramble says raises the question of wages and salaries for non-public servants who are also feeling the brunt of rising prices.
First, the government, in announcing the salary increase for next year, also announced that they were convening the Wages Council before the end of this year, and that Wages Council is expected to increase the minimum wage for all workers. That is private sector workers as well. That's the first thing. So on the minimum wage side, the government will adjust the minimum wage. And that has been announced, the same time that we announced the salary increase. Secondly, in reducing personal income tax and increasing the threshold for taxes, it means that all workers, public and private sector workers, will pay less income tax next year, which will mean they will have more money in their paycheck next year. The tax cuts as well, at the corporate level, will allow the private sector employer more money on hand, which they can then invest in their workers, either in the form of hiring additional workers or in increasing their wages.
Minister Gonzalez says there is an interaction between public and private wages, private sector wages, and that evidence shows that the growth in public sector wages and in public sector employment will positively affect the growth of private sector wages.
Why? If you're making more money in the public sector, the private sector has to compete to hire people who would otherwise go and work in the public sector. And if more people are getting jobs, labor becomes scarcer, you have to offer more money to get people to leave where they work in, to come and work by you. So if you are raising wages in the public sector, and if your economy is growing and more people are being employed as a result of growth, it has an upward effect on private sector wages. Additionally, productivity impacts private sector wages. The unemployment rate affects private sector wages. If unemployment is low, wages will have to climb. Hours per worker, and yes, inflation affect private sector wages, because the private sector employee will also be able to make demands of their employer for wages. Those are all empirically related factors between public sector wages and private sector wages.
The Milton Cato Memorial Hospital will serve as a maternal and child health hospital once the Arnoldville Acute Care Hospital is functional. This is according to Minister of Health Sinclair Jimmy Prince, who was responding to a question in Parliament yesterday from opposition MP for Central Kingstown, Sinclair Leacock, on the services to be provided at the new hospital to be built at Arnoldville and those which will remain at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital in Kingstown. Minister Prince says the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital will retain an accident and emergency department which will offer full services for all age groups and sexes. He, however, noted that the health sector of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not organized along constituency lines and that adequate provisions have been made to meet the needs of the Central Kingstown constituency.
This is made clear declared by World Bank Healthcare Service Classification and Services Scoping Report, which unequivocally stated that health services are provided by health centers across 9 health districts. Based on the report, on average, each health center is equipped to provide service to a catchment area population of 2,900 persons, and no person is required to travel more than 5 kilometers to access care. The report went on to state that the health system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and generally the health infrastructure and available staffing, are adequate. Madam Speaker, Central Kingstown has daily access to DMO clinics through the Kingstown Health Centre, which is staffed by 4 registered nurses, 2 nursing assistants, 4 community health aides, 2 district medical officers, 1 family nurse practitioner, 1 health nursing supervisor, diagnostic facilities located centrally at the MCMH, and specialist outpatient services at the same facility. Emergency care is accessible through Accident and Emergency Department of the MCMH.
The Health Minister also gave the assurance that building a new hospital in Annisville will not at any time cause a disruption of services at the Kingstown District Clinic, given its central location and proximity to the communities in central Kingstown.
I'd like to say further that this district clinic will remain in the current location, offering services to central Kingstown. The services of the AVACH will be available for all constituencies as those of the MCMH currently are. The Kingstown District Clinic or the Kingstown Health Centre will continue to offer the following wide range of healthcare services to central Kingstown: antenatal care, postnatal care, child health clinic, family planning clinic, DMO clinic, dressings, home visit, diabetics, hypertensive clinics, mantua test and yellow fever vaccine on Mondays, emergency, counseling, home visits, HIV testing and counseling. So, Madam Speaker, Central Kingstown is not losing anything by the construction of the Annisville Acute Care Hospital. In fact,
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has implemented several initiatives in agriculture to ensure that no one is left behind. The Prime Minister was at the time addressing a ceremony for a food exhibition at the Park Hill Playing Field hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture in observance of World Food Day under the theme "Leaving No One Behind: Better Production, Better Nutrition, Better Environment, Better Life."
I raise money with the United Nations. 3,702 get the money through Western Union. In fact, out of the 200 and something million dollars, over 100 and something were direct payments made to farmers, fisher folk, the poor and the working people are those who are affected. Direct payments. Sabi them give me a list here. And Sabi write down here in the notes for me. $31.5 million. But that is only from the Ministry of Agriculture. That ain't all the other money I'm talking about, you know. That ain't got nothing to do with the UN money with WFP. Got nothing to do with the World Bank money. The CDB money where we borrow. And I tell you something, I don't know if Sabi talked about it yet. We just negotiated when the World Bank came down here less than 2 months ago. Camilo negotiated with them for the 10 million US, specifically for quick disbursements to farmers and fisher folk.
PM Gonsalves noted that before the end of this month, SVG should receive 40,000 sacks of urea fertilizers to distribute free to the farmers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines from an agreement with Venezuela.
Subsidizing the fertilizer, and I want to tell you this. Before the end of this month, hopefully before independence, I want the farmers hear this. From the negotiations which we did with Venezuela, we get in, listen to this, 40,000 sacks of urea, which we're going to distribute free for the farmers of this country. Well, as you know with the urea is when you start to cultivate, you put that in the soil. You don't put the soil night early and the old-fashioned albatross. You ain't put them thing there, you put the urea first. But I know some of you will have problems with the lands because you have to pay laborers. And we're going to use a part of the money which we have negotiated. Once you're a serious farmer and you start to plant crops, we're going to help you to pay laborers too. All that is world food day, you know. Nobody getting left behind. Better life, better living, and better production.
The 11th Congress of the Caribbean Beekeepers will be hosted in St. Vincent and the Grenadines from Sunday, October 30th to Wednesday, November 2nd. It will be hosted under the theme, Building the Resilience of a Beekeeping Industry Following a Natural Disaster. The Congress will also promote opportunities for new alternative livelihoods, particularly for young people. Not only will this event provide beekeepers with the opportunity to gain exposure, but it also assists in sensitizing the wider communities on the importance of bees to our food security. At the official launch of the 11th Caribbean Beekeeping Congress at the Spazio Headquarters Conference Room in French's yesterday, coordinator for the Caribbean Beekeeping Congress, Cornelius Richards, said that they are honored to be the 11th host of the Congress, as St. Lucia was the 10th host. Richards further outlined the importance of beekeeping in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
This event in the past have attracted persons from the regional and international sphere, professionals, bee enthusiasts, apiculturists, etc. And we're more than honored to be here to have this event here in St. Vincent this year. Against the backdrop of this event, bees are very, very important to our lives as human beings. We do not, it is one of the underrated species globally, but bees are very instrumental in ensuring that we have adequate food here in St. Vincent and the rest of the world. Approximately 70% of all the foods that we consume here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are as a result of the pollination of bees.
It says the focus of this year's Congress of the Caribbean Beekeepers will be on the natural factors that are contributing to the decline of the bee population.
To say, bees are greatly affected globally by several factors, man-made and natural factors. Many of us would have heard that bees, over the past decade, there is a downturn in the population of bees globally. And a lot of it is speculation in terms of what are the causes. You hear from the use of radio waves, our satellite systems, our telephone systems. They're impacting on the bees' ability to navigate. We are also hearing that pests and diseases, use of pesticides and so on is also a contributing factor. But one we want to focus on here in St. Vincent this year are the natural causes of the decline to bee population. And in our case, we have two main natural factors that's affecting bees. We have the hurricanes, which is a product of climate change. We're seeing hurricanes becoming more active and during the course of their passage. And of course, last year, we experienced the eruption of the Lassa volcano, which significantly impacted on the population of bees.
The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force continues to crack down on illicit activities throughout the country. The latest police operation has led to the seizure of 330 grams of cocaine and 69 rounds of prohibited ammunition within the territorial waters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Reports indicate that on Friday, October 14, 2022, at about 4:30 p.m., the SVG Coast Guard Service intercepted a 29 feet pirogue west of Canawan with 4 nationals of Trinidad and Tobago on board. The police say the men were arrested on suspicion and taken to the Coast Guard's base in Calico along with the vessel, where a comprehensive search was conducted on the vessel by Coast Guard and narcotics officers. The search led to the discovery of 330 grams of cocaine, 49 rounds of 7.62 ammunition, and 20 rounds of 5.56 ammunition. As a consequence, the men were jointly charged with the following offenses: 1. Possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply it to another. 2. Possession of a controlled drug for the purpose of drug trafficking. 3. Attempting to import a controlled drug within the territorial waters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 4. Possession of 69 rounds of prohibited ammunition without the authorization of the minister. 5. Possession of ammunition without a license issued under the Firearms Act. The defendants appeared at the Serious Offences Court on Monday, October 17th to answer the charges. Dion Harry pleaded guilty to all charges, while the remainder pleaded not guilty. They were all remanded into custody at Her Majesty's Prison pending a review. And the families of the 5 young men of Clare Valley who were killed in a motor vehicular accident in Sandy Bay expressed their heartache during the joint funeral service last Sunday that they did not live long enough to realize their dreams.
Giovanni Barker. Giovanni is Enrique Barker, better known as Daw, was born on the 3rd of March 2000. Giovanni was a very disciplined young man. He never talked on his timing, loved kids, although he never got the chance to have any of his own. Loved going to the seaside, always wants to have his own fishing boat. His dream was to be a fisherman, but never get the time to accomplish his dreams. I can't forget the day I see him for the last. I asked him to bring up stuff for me, and he carried them for me. Never knew that was the last.
Today, this is one of the hardest things we've ever had to do as a family. My name is Kimora Lavia, and I'm the sister of Ishmael Darrell Bruce.
And I am Gretel Bruce Joseph, the cousin of Darrell Bruce. 40 years ago, on this very date, which, as fate would have it, he's now being laid to rest on this same date.
Darrell was a very generous person. Nothing was too good or too much for him to give to anyone, especially his siblings. I can remember when I started my secondary school education, Darrell was still working at VJ's. He took it upon himself to contribute part of his salary as a weekly stipend to assist me in my education. For the 4 years he worked at VJ's, Darrell never one day missed his weekly pledge. Darrell always have a solution for everything, and don't ever doubt him because he always knows.
Today, we are grateful, very grateful for the 39 years we were blessed with him. Today would have been 30 years, 40 years, sorry.
Elvis Logie Harold. Logie had big dreams. He had big dreams for his mom and his family. And he would often spoke of them to his sister Kate, who remembered him saying, "Sissy, we will make it together. You see, like how Miss Kelly 3 boys making moves together and invest, we will soon be like that and build each other." And this is a poem from his girlfriend, Shanika. She wants us to read it for her. It says, "You left this world, but not my heart. in my grief, my tears give testimony to the love I have for you.
For Kenroy Haywood and Khalil Robin, their loved ones say their memories will live on forever as they've impacted many lives.
To me, Kenroy was a hero. And to many of you who are here, Kenroy was your hero as well. He was affectionately called Pressure by his friends and also family members. Kenroy Kevin Phillips was born on June 8, 19. He may have many future aspirations, but we can safely say that he lived a selfless life, a very good one, and ensured that everyone around him was loved, cared for, and helped. He was loved by all of his brothers and sisters, and he will forever be embedded in not just their hearts, but the hearts of all of us here today. I know that every one of us who are here have a positive memory that they can share of Kenroy.
Carl Travis Robin, affectionately known as Keno, was born on the 14th of September 1992. We should learn a lot from Keno's short life that he lived, to always live, love and live life to the fullest. We love and appreciated him for everything that he has done for us. We therefore, with these words, don't think of him as gone away. Just think of him as resting from the sorrows and the tears in a place of a warmth and comfort where there are no days and years. Just think of him as living in our hearts of those he touched. For nothing loved is ever lost, and he was loved so much.
The young daughter of Elvis, Logie Harold, paid a tribute to her father with a special song.
Didn't know today would be your last, that I have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just go back to that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe.
May their soul rest in peace. In other news, Pallavi Brown, who is no stranger to pageantry, is confident that she will be crowned Miss SVG 2022 on the night of the pageant on October 29th. The 23-year-old is currently the reigning Miss Windward, having won the pageant in 2019. She is contestant number 1 in the Miss SVG beauty pageant and is sponsored by Play4. Brown tells SVG TV News that her entry in the Miss SVG pageant serves to fulfill a childhood dream with an aim to influence other young girls to aspire to be the best version of themselves. In her community project, which she hopes to continue after the pageant, Brown focused on education development in her community of Georgetown.
I am driven. I have great passion, and anything that I put my mind to, I accomplish that. And I live by this mantra: do not fear failure, or rather fear not trying. That is something I think is why they should support me, because of my passion, because of my love for things all around me. Well, I intend to put my best foot forward. I intend to bring my best on show night. You know, I have a lot of supporters, and it reminds me every day that, you know, to push on, because I cannot disappoint my supporters, especially my support, the love and support I've been gaining from my community of Georgetown. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for your love and your support thus far. Well, I've always been in the creative arts. I grew up in various dance groups and so forth, and growing up I've always gone to pageants, and have always been intrigued, you know, by how do these ladies go up, you know, so they exude such confidence, you know. It has been exhausting, it has been challenging, but whenever I end up in that zone, I tend to remind myself why I started in the first place. Miss SVG has given me the opportunity, a platform rather, to advocate for issues I'm passionate about, and, you know, I randomly selected educational development, which is one of those, you know, interests of mine. So it has been self-fulfilling. I want, my message today is that know that you were placed on this earth for a reason, and no one can take that away from you. Whatever the calling that God has for you, it may have challenges at times, but no one can take that calling from you, because it's what was planned out for you. So whatever dream or wish you have, people are fit with a wild lust and a fiery passion. Know in and believe in yourself that you can do and be anything in the future. It does not matter where you come from. It does not matter the community you come from, your background. We live in a world full of opportunities, and you must always imagine the possibilities of what. Do not just plan on what if, but put that foot forward and do it. You can do anything.
Ariel Oliver, contestant number 5 in the Miss SVG pageant, is encouraging the youth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to surround themselves with people who motivates them to do their best. The 28-year-old from the community of Stubbs wants to be a business studies and English teacher.
Miss St. Vincent Brewery Limited plans to bring a package, an entire package for Vincentians on October 29th. Unfortunately, I can't say too much without revealing my plans for the show, but it's going to be unique, it's going to be exciting and entertaining. I think that we all need to motivate ourselves on a daily basis. It is extremely important for us to have persons around us as well to be able to push and motivate us to do the best that we can. So the most difficult part about being a contestant in the Miss SVG pageant would have to be the training sessions. It is something that I am passionate about. Pageants are not just about a beautiful face. You get to experience different things. We get to experience networking, also training, physical and mental training, which is also extremely important. So yes, pageantry is something that I have always been passionate about. Was blessed with the opportunity to be an advocate for the differently abled. My community service project ran from September 18 to September 24. We got the opportunity to teach sign language to primary school students at the Stubbs Government School, also secondary school students at the St. Clair Deacon School. We taught it to nurses and police officers in Stubbs. I want to use this opportunity to encourage young persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to surround yourself with positive persons that motivate you on a daily basis. I also want to say that social media is something that once used correctly can be very beneficial to us. I want to use the opportunity to encourage young persons not to abuse social media and to be careful of what you post. This is Ariel Oliver, Miss St. Vincent Brewery Limited in the 2022 Miss SVG pageant. I want to use this opportunity to invite each and every one of you to the Miss SVG pageant at the Annesvale Playing Field, October 29th.
We do wish all of the contestants the best.